All right. I just want to make sure we're recording. We are. Okay, guys. FYI, I am recording this for some absences today, so just you know that ahead of time. Here we go. All right, so to start off, we need to recognize what is homozygous and what's heterozygous. Keep in mind, we are going to use a capital letter for dominant and a lowercase letter for recessive. So, if it's two capital A's, what is that? Actually, are they this? And now, okay, so we're trying to figure out heterozygous. Hetero means different. Homozygous means the same. So if they're both the same, guess what you put down? Homozygous. If it's two different, like the E's, what do you put down? Heterozygous. That's all you're doing there. That's easy peasy, right? Okay. Then the second is asking you to go from genotypes. Remember, that's the alleles. So that's why you have letters down here. And then the phenotypes is, what does it look like? The appearance. So with appearance, if we have two capital P's and purple is dominant to white, what will these flowers look like on this pea plant? Purple. What's, if you have one big pea, one little pea, what's it going to look like? Purple. If it's two small peas, what's it going to look like? No. There's no purple gene there. White. Now, this probably emphasizes why when you are doing your own problems and choosing your own letters, you want to choose your letters carefully so that capital and lowercase look different. S's notoriously get a little crazy. So I often will use a script. Did I forget? Oh, yeah, I did. So if I use S's, I'll use that for the capital, and I'll use a script for a lowercase. Now, some of you didn't even learn how to write cursive, did you? Or did you learn how to? Yeah. Okay. So then I would not use S's in your case. I also, H works out pretty well. T's, I would put a little curve to the bottom just to make it look different. Okay? Don't use O's. That'll be ridiculous. Because after you separate them and put them into a square, you're not going to be able to figure out what's what. Okay. So in 2, for the other ones, look to see what's dominant, to what's recessive, and that the last one is the 2 lower cases. So the B's, that's pretty self-apparent. R's, T's are pretty good. Bobtail, it means the short cutoff tail. So the regular tail or long tail or something like that, okay, works for the dominant gene description since you're not given it. Take a couple minutes, give a few things a try. You don't have to complete them all, but just try a few things, and if you're running into problems, let me know. That sound good so far? All right. Take a look at what you're doing for 3. Okay. Now we're given the appearance, and you need to tell me what alleles they have. That's what phenotype to genotype means. So straight hair, dominant to curly. Straight. I'm using S's because I can do that. You want to use H's for hair. What you don't do ever is for the same trait, use 2 different letters. Don't do that. Okay. Curly would be the recessive trait, so that's got to be 2 lowercase letters. Two small S's. Cursive S's. But they're lowercase as well. So, P's. If you do straight sticks on your P's, that might be hard to do. But if you use a script P, that makes sense. Or use a different letter. You're talking about heads. H's are great. Very different from capital lowercase. This sometimes astounds kids. The letter you use does not matter. What matters is using the capital and lowercase in the right places. The letter is just a variable. It's an X. Okay? Let's look ahead. You can fill in what you don't have done. I want to go through how to do some Punnett square problems. How I want you to do Punnett square problems. It wasn't Mr. Anderson. It was a few ag teachers ago. He was teaching some Punnett square stuff, and I walked in, and I started twitching. Because he put the small R in front of the big R for heterozygous. It's not right. Can't do that. And as I'm talking to him, I actually went up to his board and fixed it. I just couldn't handle it anymore. Anyway, so here are the parent alleles. You won't always be given them. Sometimes you have to figure it out from the word problem. Okay? But to practice getting started, they're given to you. And remember, meiosis happens. So these two have to split. One parent goes on the side, and one parent goes across the top. Each in their own column or row. So that's why 2 alleles gets us a 4 square Punnett. But tomorrow when I introduce you to 4 alleles at one time, it gets us to a 16 square Punnett. It'll be fun. Hang on for that. All right, so at this point now they're split up, and now we got to put them together in potential offspring. So big R, little r, take what's to the left and what's to the top and fill in the box. That's not too different from what you've done in the past, right? Okay. Then it's asking you a question. What percentage of the offspring will be round? And it says up here that round seeds are dominant. So I have a dominant allele in 2 of the 4. What percentage is that? 50%. Please keep in mind, guys, when you do Punnett squares, it does not mean that every time these 2 plants have another generation, that 50% will be round. Okay? These are not actual offspring. This is your chance per offspring. If I gave you pennies and you started flipping them, over time, we should get close to 50-50 heads and tails. But if you each only flipped it once, we probably wouldn't have 50% heads, 50% tails. Does that make sense? You've done that in math before, correct? I think your fancy-dancy calculators even have a little game, penny flipping. All right? So this is just each individual birth, each individual from this parent combination. That's the chances for each individual. Okay. So problem number 5 doesn't give you a square. You're going to have to draw your own. It does give you letters to use. If you don't like them, change them. It's not mandatory. This problem has T's. Okay. But that is very similar to what we did up before. So I want to get to 1. Aha. Would you flip your page to question 8? I know, you want to just get going to town because you remember some of this. I get it. I know. Let me cover all the things so it goes really quick all the way through. All right. Here's what you're going to get a problem like on a quiz or a test. Okay? I don't give you a letter. I don't give you the parent gene allele. I don't give you your parent genotypes. You have to figure it out. Homozygous, what does that mean again? Same. And it's with round. We already learned previously that round is dominant. So what do I use for a homozygous round dominant plant? What do you want to use? R. Oh, homozygous, though, that's not the same if you go capital and lower. So what do you want? No, that means one dominant, one recessive. There we go. And homozygous wrinkled, what's that going to be? Because that's the recessive. Little r's, thank you. Do not use a different letter. Okay? The percent of offspring that will also be homozygous. Well, that's what you got to figure out. So you're going to draw your square. You're going to put your r's there. And then you're going to fill in your squares. And for some of you, I know this is already too simple. Are any of them the same? No. 0%. It's a big R, little r in every single square. All of them are heterozygous at that point. 100% heterozygous. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have. Which one are homozygous? None of them. Okay. So do keep track of what trait is dominant to the other, okay? And that will help you out with the rest of your problems. I think, I'm just looking through the rest of the problems on the sheet. I think this one's always fun. I'm not going to give you the answer, the last one, but you kind of have to work backwards. Yeah. Okay. The rest of the time is for you to work on this while I float around and help. So do use your time, and many of you will be near completed by the end of the hour. Hello, Gina.